Hello, welcome to a new video on Introduction to R programming topic. In this video, we are going to discuss the apply family of functions. Apply family of functions allows you to repetitively perform a specified function across a vector, list, matrix or data frame. For example, I have a specified function such as min, and I want to use this function to find out the means of each of the columns in a data frame. I can able to do so conveniently with the help of apply family of functions. Okay, now for those of you who are familiar with the for loops, the apply family of functions allows you to avoid constructing those for loops. For loops require counter, it requires code to be put into those curly brackets. So it requires kind of a typing out, isn't it? But apply functions will avoid typing out all those things, avoid constructing those for loops. And instead of that, it wraps the entire loop into one single function. So you will have to only call one single apply family function and it will do the same work in much the same way as the for loop. Okay, so there are four different types of apply functions you have. One is apply function, second is L apply function, third is S apply function, and the fourth one is T apply function. Four apply functions in apply function family: apply, L apply, S apply and T apply. In this video we are going to talk about all these four apply family functions. So let's start with apply function example. Now here I have prepared one small data frame. Name of the data frame is product cell, and I have 5 different products: product A, product B, product C and product D. And I have 4 different regions in which these products are launched: North region, East region, South region and the West region. And these values indicate the revenue that's been generated by selling the product in these particular regions. Now I'm interested in finding out the average sale, average revenue being generated by these products in all these 4 regions. Okay, that means what I'm interested in finding out the average of this north column, the east column, the south column and the west column. Okay, so this is the problem statement that I have. This can be done with the help of typesetting. So you have the name of the data frame and dollar operator and the name of the column. That's the typesetting. So you can typeset each individual column, put this entire thing into a mean function, create a vector of all these columns put together, and then you will get the answer. But this is a very inefficient way of programming. Imagine that you have hundreds of columns. Typing out such a code for all those columns will make you cry. That is the most inefficient way of programming. Can we have the efficient way of programming? The most simpler way wherein we don't need to type anything much? Yes, we do have. The answer lies in this apply function. Now let me tell you how we can able to construct the apply function and get the same result in writing a single line of code. So let's learn apply function now. Now this is how the apply function looks like. So it has a keyword called apply. So this is a keyword. Then it has 3 arguments. The first argument is a data frame. The second argument is something called as a margin, which allows you to work through the columns or through the rows. For example, if margin is 1, then apply function will work row wise. And if the margin is 2, then apply function will work column wise. Okay, and the function that you want to apply on the elements of the data frame. This function can be a mean, it can be max, it can be min, it can be standard deviation, any built-in function that argues you can able to use this function. Okay, so if I want to now write apply function to this data frame, how would I apply? How would I write it? Apply name of the data frame. Name of the data frame is product cell. Then I am interested in finding out the average revenue of different regions. So I am working column wise. And I am interested in finding out the average. So I will use a mean function in this case. That will going to fetch me out 4 different values for each particular region. That's how the apply function works. Compare this with the earlier code that we have written. This is much more efficient way of writing. So now let's open the R session and let's work upon some examples using apply function. So let's first look at this apply function. I've created a data set called product cell. Okay, I'm going to run it, then I'm going to show you how it looks like, the help of head function. So here you go, you have 5 different products and each of these products been sold in 4 different regions. And then I am now going to use apply function. Now here what it has given me is, because the margin is equal to 1, that means apply function works row wise. So it returns a vector where each position corresponds to a row number that was averaged, right? So I have 5 different rows. It has given me the mean value of those 5 different rows. Now I want to work through column wise, so I am changing margin from 1 to 2, but in this case I am using a summary function. Now let's find out what this summary function will give me. So here you go. So it has given me the summary statistics of the revenue that has been generated for these 4 different regions: north, east, south and west. Okay, so this is how the apply function works. Apply function can also be used on your own custom built functions. Let me help you out in demonstrating that. So I'm using the empty cars dataset. This dataset is preloaded with the base R. Dimension of this dataset has 32 rows and 11 columns. So it has 11 different variables. Typing out first 6 rows of the data set, as you can see, it has car names, car models, and it has some data associated with each car model, such as what is the average in miles per gallon for that particular model, how much of the cylinders engine it has, displacement, horsepower rating, etc., etc. Okay, so all the cars data set it has. Now I want to read out each of this model in such a way that it will give me the number of cylinders this model has, the miles per gallon, the average of that particular model, and how much of the weight in pounds that particular model has. So I'm using the apply function. But in this case I'm calling my custom build function stat readout. Margin is 1, that means I want to work row wise. So let me execute this. Here you go. So it has printed Mazda RX-4. It has 6-cylinder car with 21 mpg as an average and weighing 2620 pounds. Okay, so this is how the apply function works. Now let's move ahead and let's learn the lapply function. Now let's understand the lapply function. lapply function. This L stands for the list. That means this function works on object type list and returns the output in list. Okay, so let me show you by creating a simple list called subjects. It has 3 subjects, math, science and English, with the marks in it, and I'm interested in finding out the average marks in each of this subject. Okay, so that's what I'm interested in, finding out the average of each of these subjects, average marks for each of these subjects. One way you can do is a very rudimentary way. You can call out subset each of the sublist and find the mean of that. But this is again inefficient and makes you repeat the code. Imagine you have hundreds of lists, and that would be pain to type it out everything. So this is inefficient way. Now if you want to automate this, you can use a for loop. So here I've created the empty object called subjects mean, and I'm using this for loop to iterate over this entire list, and this will then filled up with the mean of each of these sub element of the list. This is quite efficient way of handling the code, but for loops requires more time to run, and of course requires much of the code to write in order to construct it, and it takes quite a bit of space in our code. So this way is also a bit of inefficient. Can you able to do this in one single line of code? And the answer is yes, with the help of lapply function. So let's now find out how we can able to write the lapply function for this particular list. So this is how the lapply function syntax is. So it has a keyword called lapply. This is a keyword. Then you will have to call in the name of the list, in this case subjects, and the function you want to perform on the elements of the list. Okay, as simple as that. Very efficient way of writing the code. But mind you, the output of this will be a list. For example, you will get one list called maths, wherein you will have the average of these numbers, You have second list called science, where you have average number, and the third list you will have is English with the average of these numbers. Okay, so output is the list for the lapply function. Now let's check and run the R code on some. Now let's use the lapply function on the R code. So let's use the lapply function on this simple list. So I am using the random numbers. So I am setting a seed as 125 and I am creating the 4 sublist: raw material, machining, assembly and testing. So let's pretend that we have a product A which flows through these 4 stages. These are the different 4 stages required to manufacture that product. Starts with the raw material. So I am using 10 different samples. Okay, and how much of the time it has taken me to gather the raw material for this particular product. So this is what has been created by these random numbers, 10 different random numbers. These random numbers are created between 4.8 and 5.2. So on an average, I'm saying that the raw material requires 5 minutes of time. And because I don't want any variability in the process, I am simulating a uniform distribution. So I'm using a run if function to create a uniform distribution. Similarly, it will create a uniform distribution for machining time, assembly time and testing time. I'm interested in understanding how much of the average time it's been taken in each of this manufacturing process by product A. Okay, so that is what I'm interested in. So if I use the lapply function, because this is the list, so let me first run this. So this is the list. Here you go, 10 different random numbers for each of the manufacturing process. And I am now going to use lapply function, which should give me the average time for each of this manufacturing operation. Remember, as we have seen, the output of the lapply function is still a list. So if I use type of function and I put everything inside it, then I should able to get output as list. So here you go. The type of the object is list. If I want to apply the similar function on empty cars dataset, in this case I'm interested in understanding what is the maximum value for each of the attribute of the car. Okay, so if I run this, then I should get the maximum value from each of these cars attribute, but still it is a list. Now the issue with the lapply function is it returns the list, and list, as you know, is a very complicated object type, very difficult to work with. So we need a simpler object type, and that simplicity is provided with sapply function. Here S stands for simplified apply. Sapply function works in much the same way as lapply function. It works on the list. It takes function as an argument, but in this case sapply function returns a vector instead of a list, and because it returns a vector, it becomes much more easier to work through the analysis down the line. Okay, so that is the biggest advantage of sapply function. So remember, whenever you want to use apply family of function on a list, always prefer sapply function because it gives you the output as a vector and not as a list, which makes your further down the line analysis much more simpler. Okay, so now let me run sapply function on this data frame, average manufacturing time, and here you go, it has written me a nice simple vector. It has written me a nice simple vector in case of empty cast dataset as well. So if you want to check the type of object that is sapply function returns, it should give me the double as the object type, right? Sapply function. Let's go ahead and check the tapply function. So let's learn the tapply function now. So now let's understand this tapply function. So this tapply function works in much the same way as the other apply family functions, but tapply function allows you to perform the operation across the specified groups in a data. Across specified groups in a data. Now for those of you familiar with the dplyr package, this does the same thing as group by or summarize function. So let's understand this with the example. I have a simple data frame called product return. In this case, I am interested in checking out how much of the defective products been written by the customers across different parts of the country. So for the purpose of explaining the things, I've kept this data set small. So let's pretend that this product is launched in 4 different countries: Mumbai, Pune, Delhi, and Kanpur. And this is the report that I got. Okay, the product returns from each of the city. I am interested in now understanding total number of product returns. Total number of product returns in each of these cities. Okay, in each of these cities. What is the total number of product returns in Mumbai, in Pune, in Delhi, and in Kanpur? So this is what I'm interested in. Total number of product returns. Okay. So now what I want to do here is group each of these product return values into 4 subgroups, each representing that particular city. So I have one subgroup called Mumbai, another one is called Pune, third one is Delhi, and fourth one is Kanpur. Once I do this, then I will be using the max function. I will be using the sum function, which will give me the total product returns for these 4 different cities. You can do this conveniently with the help of tapply function. This is the structure of tapply function. So you call the vector to analyze, then there is argument called index, which vector you want to group by, and then the function sum, mean, or max, which function you want to run through. So if I were to use tapply function in our example, this is how it would look like. Vector to analyze. Which vector you want to analyze? This one. So product return, name of the data frame, dollar, I will typeset this, hash written for product A. So this is the vector I want to analyze. Which vector I want to group by? I want to group by this city vector. So product return city, and then which function I would be interested in running is a sum function. some function, this is how the tapply function would look like for this particular example. Okay, if I run this function, then I should get this answer, right? So let's now go to the R code and let's apply the tapply function. So here you go. So I've created the same data frame called product return. Let me run this. Let me show the first 6 entries. This is how the first 6 entries looks like. Now I'm going to use tapply function. I'm interested in finding out the total product returns across different countries. So here you go. For each of these cities, I'm now getting the total product returns with the help of tapply function. Now if I were to use the tapply function on empty cars dataset, then in this case I'm interested in finding out the horsepower for each of these, the maximum horsepower for each of the cylinder engine. Okay, so in this case I have 4-cylinder engine, 6-cylinder engine, 8-cylinder engine, and within the 4-cylinder engine the maximum output that I'm getting is 138 HP. 6-cylinder engine, maximum output I'm getting is 175 HP engine. So this is how the tapply function works. So let's quickly recap what we have learned. We started with apply family of functions. We said that there are 4 types of apply family functions: apply, lapply, sapply, and tapply. And these functions allows you to repetitively perform a specified function on a vector, list, matrix, or data frame. So we saw how we can able to use min function, sum function, maximum function across the elements of the data frame and the list. Then we talked about apply function that works perfectly on data frame rows and columns. lapply function has a peculiar characteristics that it works on the list, but the output of the lapply function, this is important, the output of the lapply function is a list. Then we said that if I don't want the output as a list, but I want output as a simple vector, then we have another family of function called sapply function, which work in much the same way as lapply function, but the output in this case will be a vector instead of a list. And finally, if we want to group together the data and run the operation across the groups, then we also have tapply function, which we can use across the groups of the data. So this is it. Thanks for watching. If you are finding these videos interesting, then you may like to subscribe to my YouTube channel Infinity, a channel for data science. Take care and I will see you soon.